The human soldier stood at the edge of the landing platform, watching the alien fleet drift silently in the void. For most species, the human race was small, fragile, and almost amusing. Yet here he was, assigned to protect an alien royal family, a task that many of the seasoned alien soldiers considered beneath them. His name was Ethan Marlowe, a man from a harsh world called Terra Nova, where every day tested strength, courage, and wit. He had grown up learning to survive when everything around him wanted to break him. He knew humans were underestimated across the stars. That was fine. Being underestimated often gave him an advantage. The alien fleet gleamed in the blackness, ships shaped in strange, elegant curves, unlike anything humans had built. Each vessel reflected the light of a distant star, a reminder of the power and history of the alien empire. Ethan's mission was simple: escort the daughter of the alien queen, Princess Lyria, as she traveled to a distant planet for diplomatic talks. Yet simple missions rarely stayed simple in the galaxy. Ethan noticed the tension among the alien guards. They moved with pride but also with a subtle unease, glancing at each other, whispering in clicks and tones humans could barely hear. Even they knew something might go wrong. Humans often underestimated danger, but aliens knew it well. Ethan checked his equipment quietly. His suit was light but reinforced, his weapon a standard human plasma rifle adapted to alien standards. His mind was calm, trained for the unexpected. Unlike many others, he did not rely on reputation or fear. He relied on focus. The journey began smoothly. Princess Lyria, with her pale violet skin and golden eyes, stayed calm in the presence of the human. She was elegant but young, her life carefully shielded by layers of guards. Ethan noticed how others saw her as fragile, but he saw intelligence and curiosity behind her composed gaze. Then the attack came. It started as a flicker on the fleet's sensors, shadows moving faster than expected. One of the alien commanders shouted, a sound that made even Ethan tense. The fleet was suddenly surrounded by attackers unlike anything he had encountered before, small, fast ships swarming with strange energy weapons. Panic spread among the alien guards. They were trained, yes, but not for this. The attackers were precise, and the royal escort formations began to collapse. Princess Lyria's guards faltered as ships shook from direct hits. For a moment, the situation felt hopeless. Ethan did not hesitate. Humans were rarely as disciplined under pressure, but he had learned to act when others froze. He scanned the surroundings, noting escape paths, structural weaknesses, and signs of forced movement. That was when he noticed the absence of Princess Lyria. She was supposed to be at the center of the escort, safe among the guards, but she was not there. Panic rose in him, but not fear. Fear was useless. Focus was needed. He moved quickly, weaving through the chaos as energy blasts tore through the hull. Alien guards shouted orders, but their voices were drowned by alarms and explosions. Ethan ignored them. He had one objective: find the princess. He followed subtle signs, broken panels, traces of disturbed air currents, and a faint energy trail. His human instincts guided him, a sense honed on a world where survival meant noticing what others missed. Finally, he reached a damaged section of the ship. Smoke poured from exposed conduits, sparks flew, and the floor shuddered under impacts. There in the corner was Princess Lyria, trapped under a heavy beam, her eyes wide with fear. Ethan did not waste time speaking. He assessed the situation. The beam could crush her if it fell further. He braced himself and lifted with all his strength. Humans were not the largest species in the galaxy, but they had endurance and ingenuity. Using his body and a discarded support rod, he shifted the weight just enough to pull her free. "Are you hurt?" he asked, keeping his voice calm. She shook her head, trembling. I don't know how to thank you." "Stay close," Ethan said. "We move fast and we stay low. Nothing else matters right now." As they navigated through the wrecked corridors, Ethan relied on simple human logic. He chose paths that minimized exposure, avoided collapsed areas, and kept them moving toward safety. Every second counted. Every decision mattered. Despite her fear, Princess Lyria began to notice something different about this human. He did not treat her as a symbol or a prize. He treated her as a person. He was not concerned with glory or rank. He was concerned with keeping her alive. That kind of focus and courage was rare. They moved in silence, the sounds of the battle fading as they got further from the main deck. Ethan's mind ran constantly, calculating risks and possibilities. Even now, he could hear alien guards struggling, ship alarms blaring, and distant explosions. Yet he never faltered. At one point, a corridor blocked by fallen debris threatened to trap them. Ethan quickly scanned the area and found a side hatch. It was a tight fit, not meant for someone his size, but humans had a way of squeezing through spaces others ignored. He helped Princess Lyria crawl through first, then squeezed through himself. Finally, they reached an emergency shuttle bay. The doors were damaged but still functional. Ethan worked quickly to override the controls. Princess Lyria helped as best as she could, following instructions without hesitation. The trust between them grew, silent but real. When the shuttle lifted off, the battle still raged behind them. Ethan piloted carefully, keeping the vessel steady while the princess watched, wide-eyed, realizing how close death had been. You saved me," she whispered. "I did what anyone would do," Ethan replied simply. "No one should die if it can be prevented." The shuttle broke through the fleet's defensive perimeter and entered open space. For the first time since the attack began, Ethan allowed himself a moment to breathe. He had completed his mission, and the princess was alive. Far away, the alien queen received the message. Her daughter was safe. Her gaze, usually calm and commanding, hardened with thought. A human had saved her child. A species she had dismissed as weak had proven strength in courage and action. Back in the shuttle, Princess Lyria looked at Ethan differently now. She had always known humans were unpredictable, but she had never considered them heroes. Yet here was one, calm, precise, and brave beyond measure. Ethan did not speak of future rewards, titles, or glory. He only ensured she was safe. That simplicity, that honesty made the most impact. In a galaxy filled with politics and ambition, courage without selfishness was rare. As the shuttle sped toward a secure location, Ethan allowed himself to consider the consequences. Saving the princess would not go unnoticed. The queen would act, and her decisions could affect not just him, but all of humanity. Yet Ethan did not fear this. Humans had a way of facing challenges head-on. Princess Lyria, once calm and composed, now sat quietly beside him, watching stars streak past. She had questions, fears, and admiration all mixed together. For the first time, she saw humans not as weak creatures but as unpredictable, clever, and brave. The shuttle's sensors indicated that the attackers were retreating. The alien fleet would survive, and the princess was safe. But the event had already changed something fundamental. Somewhere in the galaxy, whispers began. A human had faced impossible odds and saved royalty. Few believed it at first, but whispers grew. Curiosity followed. The human race, once underestimated, began to step onto a stage they were never expected to reach. Ethan, unaware of all this, focused on the immediate task, keeping Princess Lyria safe until she returned home. That was all that mattered. He did not seek fame, glory, or reward. Humanity had taught him one truth: actions, not words, defined a person. When the shuttle finally entered the protective field of the Queen's palace orbit, alarms ceased and the automated gates opened. Ethan guided the vessel carefully, ensuring a safe landing. Princess Lyria stepped out, her feet touching solid ground, free from fear for the first time in hours. "Thank you," she said again, her voice steady now, stronger than before. Ethan nodded. "You're welcome. Just stay safe." The Queen's palace loomed ahead, a symbol of power and history. Within its walls, decisions would be made that could change the galaxy, and it all began with one human soldier, brave enough to act when others faltered. In the quiet of the landing bay, Ethan realized something profound. The galaxy might be vast, dangerous, and often cruel, but courage, loyalty, and intelligence could carve a path even in darkness. Humans were small, underestimated, and ordinary in many ways, but moments like this proved that sometimes the smallest spark could ignite change across the stars. And somewhere, far away, the alien queen understood that a single human had proven value beyond measure. Ending note of Part 1. Humans had arrived, not as servants or tools, but as beings capable of shaping their own destiny. The palace was enormous, a gleaming structure of crystal-like walls and towers that shimmered in the light of a nearby star. Every surface reflected the power and history of the alien empire. Humans had never seen such grandeur, and Ethan Marlowe, despite his many experiences, could not help but notice the sheer scale of it. Yet he did not let wonder distract him. His focus remained on Princess Lyria, safe for now, and on what was coming next. He followed her through the palace corridors, where alien attendants moved silently, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and caution. Ethan felt the weight of countless eyes on him. Many of these beings had doubted humans, dismissed them as weak or foolish. Now, one human had defied their expectations. Princess Lyria led him to a room of immense size. A domed ceiling reflected the starry sky outside, and a circular table in the center glowed with a soft light. At the head of the table sat the alien queen, her presence commanding yet calm. Her skin was a deep, iridescent shade of violet, her eyes sharp and intelligent, scanning every corner of the room. "Ethan Marlowe," she said, her voice resonant, echoing slightly off the walls. "You have saved my daughter. I have heard the report. Tell me, how did you manage this?" Ethan bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "I did what I could, Your Majesty. I saw she was in danger and acted. I only wanted to make sure she survived." The Queen's eyes studied him. Many would have expected fear or hesitation in a human, but Ethan showed none. He was calm, measured, and honest. That alone impressed her. "Some of my counselors do not believe a human should be here at all," she said, turning slightly to regard the others seated around the table. "Yet here he stands, not only alive but unwavering in his duty." The alien nobles whispered among themselves, their clicks and tones betraying uncertainty and disbelief. Some were angered by the audacity of a human surviving such a dangerous mission. Others were wary, sensing that this single act might shift the balance of influence within the palace. One noble, a tall being with silver scales and sharp horns, spoke up. "Your Majesty, this is highly irregular. Rewarding a human." The Queen raised her hand, silencing him. "I am not yet speaking of reward," she said calmly. "But let it be known, bravery and loyalty are universal. They are not measured by species, birth, or size. What this human has done proves value beyond what many of you can imagine." Ethan remained quiet. He did not seek recognition. His training on Terra Nova had taught him that actions mattered more than words. Still, he could feel the tension in the room. This was not just about him. It was about how humans would be seen in the galaxy from now on. Princess Lyria stepped forward. Her golden eyes shone with emotion. "I was terrified," she said softly, yet her voice carried strength. "When the attackers struck, I thought I would die. But this human, he did not hesitate. He stayed calm. He stayed with me. He saved me." The Queen's gaze softened slightly, but the intensity in her eyes remained. "You understand the risk he took?" she asked. "I do," Lyria replied, "and I am grateful, more than words can say." The room was silent for a moment, then murmurs spread among the nobles. A human had saved the princess. A human had proven courage, intelligence, and loyalty in a way that many species could not. Some felt pride in their empire for having witnessed such an act. Others felt unease, knowing that the established hierarchy might be challenged. Finally, the Queen spoke again. "Ethan Marlowe, a life debt is owed to you." The human blinked. He had heard of life debts in galactic history, ancient traditions that bound one to another in loyalty and protection, but he had never imagined being granted one by an alien queen. "What does that mean?" he asked carefully. "It means," the Queen said, her voice strong, "that humanity, your people, will be under my protection, that the Empire will recognize your value, that no harm may come to your species while the life debt stands, and that you personally shall have a voice in matters of alliance and diplomacy." Gasps echoed around the table. The Council had not expected such a declaration. Many saw this as dangerous. Humans were small, young in galactic history, and unpredictable. Yet the Queen's words were clear. Courage and loyalty could not be ignored. Ethan felt the weight of the decision. He had acted without thought of reward, without expectation of recognition. And now, the fate of his species could change because of a single act of courage. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing again, "I only acted to save a life. If my people are given protection, it is because of my actions, yes, but it is their future you are shaping." The Queen nodded. "Precisely, and they deserve a chance. Many see humans as weak. I have seen them underestimated, and now their value cannot be denied." The nobles continued to murmur, some reluctantly nodding, others remaining wary. Politics was never simple in any empire, but actions, as the Queen understood, spoke louder than words. After a moment, the Queen turned to Lyria. "You have witnessed this bravery firsthand. You understand that humans are not tools or pawns, they are something more." Lyria nodded, her expression determined. "Yes, Mother, I understand. He is not only brave. He is smart, focused, and loyal. Humans may be small, but he proves they can make a difference where others fail." The Queen's gaze softened as she considered her daughter's words. "Then it is decided. A life debt is granted. Humanity shall have protection under my name, and Ethan Marlowe shall serve as the symbol of that bond." Whispers spread across the room again. Protection, influence, recognition. These were privileges never granted lightly. Yet the Queen's decision was final. Her word was law. Ethan felt a mix of pride and responsibility. He had not sought this, yet he understood the implications. Humans would now be seen differently across the galaxy. Opportunities would arise. Allies would take notice. Enemies would reconsider their assumptions. "Your Majesty," he said, "I do not wish for special treatment. I only ask that humans be judged fairly by their actions, not by fear or prejudice." The Queen smiled slightly. "Wise words, human, and they will be remembered. The galaxy will hear of your deeds, and they will understand that humans cannot be dismissed lightly." Outside the palace, the news began to spread. Across star systems, whispers reached ears that had never imagined a human could achieve such a feat. Traders, diplomats, and even rival empires took note. A single act of courage was enough to shift perceptions. Ethan was shown to quarters suitable for his rank, not luxury, but respectful and secure. Lyria occasionally visited, and each time she spoke not as a princess to a subordinate, but as someone who had experienced the bravery and reliability of a human firsthand. Their trust grew, silent yet undeniable. In the following days, the palace buzzed with preparations for official recognition. The Queen intended to host a gathering of ambassadors, military leaders, and nobles from across the empire. There, the human soldier would be honored, not with mere gifts, but with acknowledgement of his role in shaping the galaxy's perception of humanity. Ethan trained and prepared as always. Despite recognition, he remained grounded. His instincts told him that danger never truly disappeared, and the galaxy was never static. Allies could turn, enemies could rise, and one could never rely solely on past victories. Yet in quiet moments, he allowed himself to reflect. He had faced chaos, risked his life, and protected another being when it mattered most. That alone had changed the course of events. His people's future now held possibilities previously unimaginable. Princess Lyria, too, reflected on the events. She had seen the bravery of a human firsthand, and it had altered her perception of the galaxy. She realized that humans were not to be underestimated, that they had the ability to act decisively, to think clearly under pressure, and to inspire trust and loyalty. When the day of the royal ceremony arrived, the palace was filled with beings from countless worlds. Aliens of all shapes and sizes whispered, some with admiration, some with skepticism. The human soldier, standing at the center of attention, remained calm. He knew that courage was not about seeking praise. It was about doing what was right, even when others doubted you. The queen addressed the assembly, her voice ringing across the hall. "Let it be known throughout the empire, a human has saved my daughter. A human has acted with courage and loyalty beyond measure. From this day forward, humanity shall be recognized, protected, and valued, and Ethan Marlowe shall serve as the symbol of this bond." Applause, clicks, and low roars of approval filled the room. Some nobles still whispered doubts, but the queen's word was final. Across the galaxy, the message would spread. Humans had arrived, not as servants, not as tools, but as beings capable of shaping events and earning respect. Ethan stood quietly, the weight of the moment pressing on him. He had not sought this, yet he understood its importance. A single act, driven by instinct and courage, had changed perceptions and opened doors for his species. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. And in that moment, standing beside Princess Lyria and beneath the gaze of the alien queen, Ethan realized something profound. Humans were no longer small, no longer dismissed. The future was uncertain, but it held possibilities beyond imagination. And he had helped open that door. The galaxy was changing, and Ethan Marlowe could feel it. What had begun as a single act of courage, the rescue of Princess Lyria, was now rippling across star systems. Alien civilizations that had once dismissed humanity as small and weak now watched closely. Some admired them, others feared them. All were beginning to understand that humans were not a species to underestimate. Ethan stood on the observation deck of the palace, looking out at the stars. Each point of light represented a world, a people, a potential ally, or a potential threat. The life debt granted by the alien queen was more than a personal honor. It was a shield for his entire species. Yet with recognition came responsibility. Humans were no longer unknown. The galaxy would test them, push them, and see whether they truly deserved this new place. Princess Lyria approached, her golden eyes reflecting the starfield. "Ethan," she said softly, "the ambassadors have been speaking. Many cannot believe the Queen's decision. Some admire it. Some are angry." Ethan turned to her. "Let them be. Humans have always faced doubt. It doesn't change what we do or what we must do next." She nodded. "Still, your calmness, your courage, it has inspired people already. Even here in my own palace, many are whispering your name." Ethan smiled faintly. "I did not act for names or whispers. I acted because it was right. That is enough." The days following the Queen's declaration were filled with preparation and meetings. Delegates from across the empire arrived, bringing gifts, reports, and questions. Some came to observe, some to negotiate, some to test the limits of this new human recognition. Ethan attended these gatherings not as a soldier, but as a symbol of humanity's courage. He did not speak much, but when he did, his words carried weight. They were clear, honest, and free from arrogance. Humans did not rely on fear or deception. They relied on intelligence, strategy, and perseverance. And for many of the aliens present, this was a revelation. Yet not all were pleased. Across the empire, whispers of dissent grew. Certain factions, those who had long held power, saw the rise of humanity as a threat. A small group of leaders plotted quietly, convinced that humans were unpredictable and dangerous. They underestimated Ethan's species, just as the rest of the galaxy had once done. Meanwhile, the bond between Princess Lyria and Ethan deepened. She had grown to respect his wisdom and judgment, and she often sought his advice on matters of diplomacy and security. To her, he was not only a protector but a partner in thought, someone who could see beyond fear, beyond politics, and focus on what truly mattered: the safety of life, the value of trust, and the importance of courage. One evening, as the palace glimmered under the light of 3 moons, a message arrived from a distant system. An enemy fleet, long thought disorganized and weak, had begun gathering near a key trade route. They believed humanity was still small, untested, and easily intimidated. They did not know that humans, once underestimated, had already begun shaping their place in the galaxy. Ethan reviewed the reports with a calm intensity. "They are moving quickly," he said, "but their strategy is predictable. They assume humans will flee or that aliens will fight without coordination. They do not know we plan differently." Princess Lyria studied the reports as well. "Your people, they are unlike anyone I have ever known. Even now, when a threat approaches, you do not panic. You act with purpose." Ethan nodded. "We survive by thinking ahead, by staying calm when others falter. It is not courage alone, it is discipline, unity, and intelligence." The palace began preparations. Humans trained alongside alien soldiers, sharing tactics and strategies. The human approach to teamwork and improvisation impressed many of the alien generals. It was not brute force alone that mattered, but the ability to adapt, to respond, and to anticipate. When the enemy fleet finally arrived, the galaxy watched in anticipation. Many expected a quick and easy conquest. After all, humans were small, young, and seemingly inexperienced. Yet the humans and their allies were ready. They moved as one, precise and deliberate, combining alien technology with human ingenuity. Ethan commanded a fleet division, small in number but highly coordinated. He had studied the enemy's movements, predicted their tactics, and prepared countermeasures. When the attack began, it was humans who struck first, not with reckless violence but with calculated precision. Energy blasts cut through the void, alien ships maneuvered with speed and skill, and humans worked alongside their allies seamlessly. The enemy was confident at first, but confusion soon spread. Their assumptions about human weakness had been disastrously wrong. Princess Lyria watched from the command center, her hands gripping the edge of her console. "Ethan," she whispered, "they did not expect this. Humanity, it is more than they imagined." Ethan remained focused. "It is not imagination. It is training, teamwork, and courage. That is what humans bring." The battle continued, but slowly the tide turned. Small, strategic strikes by human-led divisions created openings. Alien allies followed with disciplined precision. Enemy ships, once confident, began to retreat or falter under coordinated attacks. The galaxy witnessed a force that was underestimated, disciplined, and unafraid. When the final blow came, it was not chaos but order that won the day. The enemy fleet retreated in disarray. Their attacks had failed, their strategy broken. Humans had shown that even against larger, more experienced forces, careful planning, courage, and determination could prevail. Back at the palace, celebrations erupted. Aliens who had doubted humanity now praised their courage and intelligence. Diplomats sent messages of admiration, and even former skeptics grudgingly acknowledged the humans' effectiveness. Humanity had taken its first major step into the galaxy's eyes, not as tools, not as servants, but as equals capable of shaping events. Ethan, however, did not celebrate. He walked quietly through the palace gardens with Princess Lyria. The battle had been won, but he knew the galaxy was vast, full of challenges yet to come. "Your people are remarkable," Lyria said. "Even now, after all you have done, you remain humble." "Why?" Ethan looked at her, thoughtful. "Humans do not seek glory. We seek to survive, to protect, and to do what is right. Recognition is not the goal, it is the result." She smiled. And yet your actions have changed everything. The galaxy sees humans differently now. They respect you, they fear you in some ways, but they respect you. Ethan nodded. That is enough. Fear is temporary. Respect lasts longer when it is earned through action, not intimidation. The Queen summoned Ethan once more. You have done more than save my daughter, she said. You have shown the galaxy the potential of humanity. You have proven that courage and intelligence know no boundaries of species. For that, my people and my empire owe a debt of gratitude to your world. Ethan bowed. I did not act for gratitude, your majesty, but I am glad it has had an impact. The Queen smiled. And it will continue to have an impact. Humanity now has allies, friends, and a place at the table of galactic influence. But more importantly, humanity has proven it can rise to challenges that no one expected. Word of the humans' deeds spread to distant systems. Stories of bravery, intelligence, and calmness under pressure became tales told in fleets, markets, and academies. Humans were no longer dismissed. They were studied, respected, and increasingly trusted in matters of diplomacy, defense, and exploration. Ethan, for his part, returned to Terra Nova briefly, only to find his people watching the news with a mixture of awe and pride. They had always believed in human potential, but the galaxy's acknowledgement validated what they had known all along. Humans had arrived, not by chance but by courage, intelligence, and determination. Princess Lyria continued to learn from him, often accompanying humans on missions and exercises. Her respect deepened into admiration, and in turn, humans began to see the galaxy not as a distant, indifferent void, but as a place where courage and action could shape reality. The galaxy would not forget this moment. Aliens who had once laughed at humans now considered them seriously. Empires that had ignored them began to take note, and even distant observers who had once dismissed humanity as insignificant began to reconsider. Ethan Marlowe understood something simple yet profound. Humanity's strength was not in numbers or technology alone. It was in adaptability, courage, and intelligence. In unity, humans could face any threat, solve impossible problems, and earn respect across worlds. The Queen's life debt, the recognition of humanity, and the victory against the enemy fleet were not just events, they were symbols. Symbols of what a species once dismissed could accomplish. Symbols of courage unbound by size or history. Symbols of a future in which humans would never stand alone again. As Ethan stood once more on the observation deck, looking out at the endless stars, he knew the galaxy had seen only the beginning. Challenges would come, new threats would appear, and humans would continue to face doubt and skepticism. But one truth remained. When humans acted, even the impossible became possible. Princess Lyria approached silently. "Do you ever wonder," she asked, "if your people will truly be ready for all that lies ahead?" Ethan smiled faintly. "We already are, we just don't know it yet. Humanity learns fast, adapts faster, and survives when others would fail. That is who we are." She nodded, her golden eyes reflecting admiration and hope. "Then I am glad to stand beside you, Ethan. And the galaxy will learn that too." And so humanity's story continued, not as bystanders, not as tools, but as a species capable of shaping events, earning respect, and facing the stars with courage, intelligence, and determination.